Hey guys, it's Jay here from Faith Evolve, checking in from my car here on my brand new iPhone 13 Pro Max in blue. And if it's your first time here, please check out the video section. And if what you see resonates, I certainly would appreciate you to subscribe below, as well as like the video and share on your social media. And certainly do comment as well, because I try to read and respond to as many of them as I possibly can. So anyways, as a disclaimer, I had some CBD this morning, so I'm still kind of a little out of it, a little brain foggy, kind of, feel a little off. But I did have some coffee, got my dunks over here. So it's helping offset it a little bit, but I'm still a little dazed and confused. Not really. But anyways, I've had these thoughts before. Hold on a second. Stop making noise. I've had these thoughts before, but sometimes CBD or kratom, they, exemplify, or I should say, amplify the effects. Like I said, I'm a little kind of retarded right now, to be honest, to quote Alex Jones. But I'll do my best to be coherent. So, this is a thought that I have for atheists, all right? They either don't believe there's any evidence for God or are so sure there's no God. And, a lot of times they're into sci-fi and they believe in science. But what if a advanced civilization of beings became so smart and evolved so far that they had the ability to control time in reality itself? Like say like a Q like being from Star Trek. Like they had the ability to go back in time to the moment of the universe being born, or they had the moment to go in future. They could basically write history, rewrite history, and you wouldn't even know it. Like they have the ability to say, not only do they evolve, to the point of being able to time travel back and forward, they could change reality to be as such where they always existed. And they were basically gods, because they could literally just, by fiat create and change history, or even remove items or people or scenarios or situations or events from history. I mean, effectively, they would be God. So that's not only just a mind screw for, for atheists, it's also a mind screw for theists, because, shoot, we believe in a God who's always existed. And what if, that wasn't the case, where maybe the God that exists now had to evolve to that point and then created us in that environment, in that matrix, if you want to call it that. So it definitely kind of messes with you a little bit. Then that thought went a little further. And this is where the CBD kicked in, because I had that thought for a while. I had that idea for a while, that what if an advanced being just basically became God by the mere powers that it had. But what if that being had the ability to then purposely forget that they had done that? So they advanced all the way to becoming basically God, and then they said, you know what, I'm gonna change reality for myself, that I don't even remember doing this, whilst keeping that reality intact. And that's where my mind started going, a million miles an hour, and I started having not like a panic attack, but just like an existential, like, oh shoot, what if kind of scenario in my head, whilst fully immersed in CBD in my brain. So thankfully that was CBD and not straight THC, because that would have been a panic attack for sure. But I don't do THC. I can't do it. It's too much. My brain just thinks too much to handle straight THC. So I gotta have CBD. So yeah, I mean, like, oh shoot, what if that was me? What if I did that? What if I purposely made myself forget that I'm God? And this is my hell, or this is, it's not that bad, but there's some times where it has felt like hell. This is my prison. This is my, I'm here now. I have done this, And I changed reality to be that not only did I make myself forget, but I also changed it to that, I evolved to that point. So it's almost like a closed loop in a sense. Like you evolve to a certain point that you become God, and then you make yourself forget that you did it. So and you change your reality to be that you evolved to godhood again, as opposed to always being there. And that would also mess with atheists too, because it's like, oh, you're switching it back. It's like a double cross. What the hell? So you evolved to get there, changed reality to get there, and then made it so that you forgot simultaneously that you evolved to get there. I mean, what in the world was my brain thinking? I mean, it's almost like I was trying to find ways to screw myself over, like eternally condemn myself to my own creation. But this is where A Course in Miracles comes to the rescue. Because even if I had done such a thing, I would have to get consent from everybody around me to do that. Because even though we're all one, we're fragments of God in a sense. We've basically fragmenticized. Is that the word? Yeah, still a little brain fog, don't mind me. But we're all fragments of and we're all in our own ego minds at this point. And I just took a wrong turn. So I got to go around the clover 4 times. That's going to be fun. So we didn't create ourselves. We didn't create the laws of the universe. Even if we, somehow evolved to the point of being able to do all these things, we still didn't initially create ourselves. We were created by something higher than us. So we would have to have the consent of who created us to do that. And would we have done such a thing? Why would God condemn himself? I mean, it's already crazy enough to think that the sun would condemn himself. But God certainly wouldn't. I mean, who wants to be in hell forever, Who wants to put themselves into a closed loop of insanity? But A Course in Miracles does say we went to sleep and forgot. So it's almost like what I was thinking actually did happen. But it didn't happen to God himself. It happened to the extensions of God. The fragments of some of the fragments of God decided they wanted to go off on their own and because they have the ability to do everything God can do. They can create. They just can't create themselves. They are part of. It's the only thing they can't do is create themselves. They have to have come from the source, and you have to have a consent from the entire source for that to happen. And ironically, A Course in Miracles also does state that the way of salvation is through your brother, because it's like you're slowly coming back to unity because your brother is a part of you. And so you'd have to have consent, number one. Number two, you'd have to have created yourself, which you didn't. And number 3, even if you could create yourself, which doesn't make any sense, why would you want that? Because you're the decision maker. You have the ability to change reality, even if you forgot how to do it. Or even if the only way that I guess you could screw yourself over is if you change reality so that you couldn't change reality. But that doesn't make any sense either. Even though I guess it could be theoretically possible. But even if you could change reality to that you couldn't change reality, you would still have to have created yourself for that to be eternal condemnation. And you still have to get consent from everybody. The whole sonship would have to agree to that. All the spirits of God, and of course God himself, being the conglomeration of all beings, and then some. I'm sure there's things beyond that. And even if you could create yourself, who says you can, change the realities of somebody else? There's another one for you. You can't change somebody else's reality. I mean, sure, you could see everybody else around you as just figments of your imagination, part of the simulation of your brain, and not actually existing. That could be it too. But still, who says that you have the power to create your own self? And there are not other realities that, exist that someone else created themselves in. So there's so many ways out of it. And even if all those things were somehow possible, I do believe that beyond this reality, transcendent of this reality, is God himself, like the actual true source of all existence, and all the laws of the universe came from him. And you wouldn't be able to create yourself at all if the potential to create yourself didn't exist in the first place. And I believe that's what the Holy Spirit is. The Holy Spirit is trying to reach through your dream, through your nightmare, whatever you want to call it, this world, this matrix you created for yourself, assuming that you did all these things and made yourself forget. You know, if that's the case, it does say your creations are safe because the God remembers, the Holy Spirit remembers, and he's always trying to cut through your dream whenever you see a glitch in the matrix. And when I say glitch in the matrix, I mean like you're looking around and you're seeing things that don't make any sense or make you feel bad or incoherent. You know, your ego, your separated mind. When you see all that kind of stuff going on and you feel bad about it, it's like, wait a second. Hold the phone. There's got to be a reason why I'm feeling that way about this. Because if I create my own reality, that means everything I do, I want.
Police reported ahead.
So, I mean, there's so many ways out of this. You could try to box yourself in and be in denial all you want of your existence of where you came from. But the Holy Spirit's going to find every symbol possible to get through to your brain to remind you of your sonship, of your, source where you came from. There's no escaping God's love. There's literally no escaping it. I don't know what kind of story you come up with. And at the end of the day, I have no proof of any of this. As ironic as all these, potentials might be, I have no proof of any of this. Because, yeah, maybe I made myself forget that I had proof of it. But right now, even if beforehand I did have proof and I created all of this and I made this whole nightmare mess, I have no proof of that now. I don't understand, rocket science and quantum physics and calculus and all this kind of, advanced stuff that you need a really good intellect to understand. I don't understand hardly any of this stuff. I understand meager concepts, but, I mean, when it comes down to at the end of the day, I'm thinking these thoughts with my human brain, which is infinitesimally smaller than, what I would imagine God's brain or God's intellect to be. So no matter what, at the end of the day, God's, laughing, and I had forgotten to laugh at this silly idea that I'm literally trying to think of ways to screw myself. And for what? To prove that, God isn't real? I mean, put that in your pipe and smoke it. God bless.